Hello Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset episode 181. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we get a small preview for upcoming changes to patch 2.1.4, changes to how bounty rewards will work when we transition to Season of the Drifter, and finally discuss how rewards and the economy impact the endgame. Hello Guardians, and welcome to AER0KNIGHT, and you know it, CyborgSasquatch. What's up, dude?
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I almost opened this up with, what's up, Spidey fans? But I didn't. I've still been playing Spider-Man. I'm playing Destiny 2, of course. You know that.
If you say
but
so.
I didn't do it. I said Guardians. Everything's going good, man. Good. If you can't tell, I'm a little less nasally. I'm hoping I sound a little less nasally.
Yeah, you sound a lot better.
I'm almost over the sinus infection. I still have that occasional, it feels so weird when you have a bad sinus infection, because you know how it moves back while you're talking and you feel like you just need to work up a good loogie. That's what I felt like when we recorded last. But we're feeling better, man. Our whole crew's feeling better. I'm feeling better. I got more energy. What about you?
I'm doing good.
Are you sure?
Fine.
Okay.
Yes. Good. I had a busy, productive week. Besides a crazy weekend where both the kids got sick and the car wouldn't start, and it just one of those weekends. Everything else is going fine.
We're here now.
Yep. And it's Sunday night, and we're preparing this episode for you to go out tomorrow, so you can enjoy
we have
it.
not done this in a while. Recording the night of editing and a couple hours later posting. So this will be a good, fresh, up-to-date episode for our listeners.
That's right. We're on the cusp. We're on the most recent news. There's nothing that can happen right now that
this will go live
that we could miss in
about 2 or 3 hours.
There you go.
As it goes live, we will be going to sleep.
That's right.
But hey, it's because we're not placing blame. There's no blame. But the last 2 weeks, the 12 has not come out on Thursday, and that just throws off our Thursday schedule, our routine. It does.
That's right. So you just got to roll with the punches sometimes.
Yes, we do. There's that.
Well, on that note, do we have any announcements? I don't think we have any new announcements
We don't,
this week.
But they should listen, though. You guys should listen in probably by the next episode. We, of course, have another giveaway. We'll be lining up here real soon. So listen in. Yes.
Sweet.
Not yet, but soon.
What can I win?
More than likely, some sort of blue loot. And maybe something else, but we'll see. You can't win anything. At least not from Destiny Reset.
I never win anything.
You did win one time, remember? And we had to re-roll.
I did. Oh yeah. I was testing the giveaway system, and I got chosen, and I was like,
and it was 300 or 400 retweets or something like that, and you got chosen. How does that happen? Yeah, so we had to re-roll. But anyways, giveaway maybe in a reset or so, Guardians.
Oh, one announcement. I almost forgot to mention this to you. Worth mentioning. I did this last year, partnering up with formerly the Saint 14 project.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Now known as Project Guardian, I believe, is their new branding. They just changed their name and images and everything. So Project Guardians, which is an organization essentially formed around promoting mental health.
Very cool.
And they're doing a charity stream in February, and I'll be participating in that. And it's to raise money for an organization. I'm double checking to make sure that I have the right info here. Just give me a second. Yeah, I think it's takethis.org, and solid organization. And so I will be doing a stream on this, it'll be a, I don't know if it's a 24-hour stream. It's a stream for, let's see. It'll be from Eastern time, 1 p.m. till 1 a.m., February 23rd. And so I'll be on at 5 p.m. Eastern on the 23rd of February. And so I would appreciate if you would come stop by. We're going to talk about mental health.
That's awesome.
Probably play some video games. Last year I did a slot and I enjoyed what we did. We talked about mental health some with some guardians from the community, and still working on what we'll do for this year's. But if you have something you'd like to talk about concerning mental health, give me a ring. I don't have anything set in stone for what we're going to do yet, but I'm open to community involvement and feedback. So if you or someone you love has been impacted by mental health in a negative or positive way and you want to talk about it, DM me on Twitter or Discord or something, and love to talk with you.
That's awesome. Dude, that's an awesome name change there too. Of course, we loved what they were doing before.
I love their new,
just anything with that.
Branding.
Even a tweet when it comes to that, just mental awareness and stuff like that Guardians might be going through. But wow, what a cool name for their drive, their Project Guardian. I love that. That's cool. Love the name change. Same 14, of course, was cool, but Project Guardian is fantastic, and it's cool that they do streams like that and stuff too, because just like you're asking there, people can come on and talk about things and different stuff when it comes to that, and that goes such a long way for who knows how many Guardians that may be tuning in. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, so we'll keep you updated. We'll remind you as that comes up in the next month or so, and not let you forget to come hang out.
Awesome, dude.
All right. I think that's all the announcements, though. So now some news.
We have the twat.
This week at Bungie, we're getting ready to turn up the power. Next week, your super abilities are in for a shakeup. Update 2.1.4 has a lot of different fixes in it, but the crux of it will be buffing a large amount of supers to make them more powerful. Arrow, which super do you want to be more powerful?
Oh, man. Well, it's hard not to say now because the others we've just read a bit in text form, but after seeing that Goldie little snippet with 11 shots,
there's a little, there's a little GIF up on, I think it was Bungie's Twitter. And it's just a little preview of what, I guess it's the top tree golden gun. Looks pretty sweet.
You get a shot back on kill, and you can, I guess that means, right? I think in the video they shoot 11 shots of their Goldie, but you can have, I guess, then 12 if you get obviously 6 kills. But of course, that's
okay. So it's not infinite,
right? Not infinite, and of course your supers.
It's one for each.
One per each, yes.
Okay.
One per each. And of course your super is still draining as well as you're going around. But from a PvE standpoint, it's like I feel like they sit in meetings, and we'll dive into this more. Sorry, this is just the intro of the TWAB, but I feel like they sit in those meetings and they're like, okay, how can we make a really cool super that's not so great in PvE? And I feel like that's exactly what they needed to do with the Goldie. I think it could still have very cool moments in PvP, but wow, for PvE, dude, like that seems like it's going to be fun.
What I like about it especially is it kind of creates a gameplay loop, especially like you're saying in PvE. Like it creates some of the most fun parts of the sandbox in Destiny is when you can create a build, whether it's with an ability or a weapon loadout, that creates a loop that kind of encourages you to do, okay, execute, this type of ability, or shoot this enemy this way, or use this ability, and then that allows you to do action B, and then maybe action C, and then you get to do action A again, and there's a loop, right? And the same way, like with what I loved so much when Destiny 2 came out was how they changed Striker Titan, and how you could have a roaming super. And then they had the bottom tree where if you killed an enemy, it would give you a portion of your super back. So as long as you kept killing bad guys, you could keep up the roaming super. And so I find the most fun is when you have, it's almost like a little mini game. Like, all right, how long can I keep this loop up
definitely
to do this particular thing? And it makes it really fun and interesting, and not just a bland, like, okay, pop your super, get it out, done. Yeah. Okay, that was cool, but now I have to go back to shooting with my auto rifle, right? Like,
and
same thing with like the reason Breakneck's so fun, right? You're trying to keep those perks up. So you're, shooting this guy. Okay, let me shoot this guy because I can knock him out, keep my rampage up, and then I'll shoot this yellow bar because I've got rampage times 3, right?
Yeah.
And you just keep these loops going, and that's what makes the little parts of the game fun.
Right, yeah. And that specifically, too, with the... I hope they all seem this substantial, dude. And it's fun that we're getting the old ones reworked, because it's just more to go in, test around, do stuff like that with some supers that we've loved for a long time. And the Goldie in particular, it's like, in PvE, it's just like... And even in the Crucible, it hasn't been, there's still your diehard Goldies out there, but it's going to be cool.
You'll see people using it, but really in PvE, like, Goldie's just there for Nighthawk, right?
Yep.
I mean, people prefer most of the time a roaming super in PvE, unless they're trying to do something specialized, like kill that one boss or whatever. So I like what they did there, and that's a great example of a change that will just make the game more fun, as opposed to, okay, well, this is weak, so we just need to buff it to compete. Like, they actually thought about, well, how can we make this ability that rarely gets used, how can we make it more fun to use so people want to try it? So not every super is getting that treatment, but I'm looking forward to what they have going. They mentioned, they talked about some of the changes in the TWAB that came out January 11th. So if you missed that, you can see what supers are getting buffed. They mentioned Golden Gun, Shadow Shot, Arc Staff, Burning Maul, Hammer of Soul, Code of the Siege Rigger, Fist of Havoc, Sentinel Shield, Nova Bomb, Cataclysm Vortex, and Daybreak are all getting increases, while Blade Barrage and Nova Warp are getting a small damage decrease. And then they go a little bit into some of the more specific changes that will change how some of the super trees work a little bit. So go check that out if you missed it. I'm sure they'll have some patch notes coming on Reset that we can read, right?
Always. Love reading through those.
Yep. So looking forward to that. And then to try it out, this reset, we get a little Mayhem returning to the Crucible. Beginning January 29th through February 5th, we'll have Mayhem as the featured Crucible playlist.
Yeah, we were talking before going live, too. It's like, Mayhem. Of course, they hint at what better place to test it than in Mayhem, but we're like, you will be able to, like, use the super and see what it feels like, but at the same time, as far as from like
you're also getting killed by supers
from like a Crucible decently competitive standpoint, you might have to jump into at least quick play or something to see what you might be able to do with it. Mayhem's gonna be insane. It's fun though. Just a bunch of superheroes running around with supers every however many seconds. It's absolutely absurd to watch that super bar.
I love Mayhem.
Dude. Like, it is. You remember when we used to think it was fast? I remember when. I don't remember exactly the date, but I remember when they dropped the patch that increased the super regeneration, the cooldown, and I guess decreased it. And I remember Mayhem came up not too long after that, and I was like, no way, dude. Like, you get your supers so fast. But that's the whole point, right? Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Run around with the superhero, just absolutely destroying stuff. Now, if you really want to troll, you can always take in your Night Stalker and just shut them down for fun, but you might not get too many kills.
People will hate you, but it's a fair thing to do.
Anyways, Mayhem's we'll be back.
Well, we finally hear about Crimson Days.
Yes, we do.
With not a lot of fanfare. They just say, hey, it's coming soon. Originally scheduled to start February 5th, that date is being shifted to February 12th through the 19th. They mention if you missed out on Crimson Days last year, didn't get everything you wanted, you're in luck. This is your chance to get the rewards exclusive to this event. This event is very similar to last year, but we've added a few new rewards and ways of obtaining them. We'll give you full details closer to the special day. Last year, they had Crimson Doubles, right?
Yes, I think they had tweaked the mechanics of it a little bit.
Yeah, I literally don't remember Crimson Days last year. I don't know if I don't
think we
didn't play it enough
of it.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. They did change up some of the mechanics of the doubles aspect, and I think it was neat. I think it got some pretty good feedback. It does seem like, they say tweaks as in new. You can get the old stuff if you didn't get it, and you can get some new stuff. It doesn't seem like the tweaks that they hint at or the new that they hint at is like actual Crimson Days activities. It just seems like it's going to be the same thing.
They just mentioned
with
new ways of obtaining the rewards.
So I don't know. This may be the first live event we get that's just kind of like a chill, not too much going on live event. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how people feel about it.
Every event doesn't have to be an enormous event full of fanfare. There can just be,
Crimson Doubles is up.
Limited time stuff that's kind of cool.
Yeah. We had hoped that.
So we'll just wait and check it out.
We had hoped that maybe there would be a little bit more with it, but who knows? We'll see. We also, we've got, as everybody's listening to this, tomorrow, we're talking about Mayhem. We're talking about the big patch dropping, the draw quest dropping, So I did want to give them a little nod on the transparency. They didn't, it's easy to look over it, but they didn't have to tell us their original plan was for it to drop February 5th. They could have just said, hey, it'll be here February 12th. So whatever reason they pushed it back a week, but they were like, let's just tell them we pushed it back a week. For timing reasons.
So Mayhem on the way with Crimson Days not far behind.
We'll try to play it a little bit more this go around.
Yeah, I'll try. Coming up with Season of the Drifter, they're going to be making a change to the way bounties grant powerful rewards, with the focus on ensuring there's an even playing field each time they kick off a new season. Bounties acquired during previous seasons will have a maximum possible power reward. The change is intended to prevent players from feeling the need to hoard bounties and raid keys that grant powerful rewards until the power cap is raised, in an attempt to get a leg up in the push towards the new power cap. So, they give an example. You've completed the wanted Silent Fang bounty during Season of the Forge, but didn't claim the reward. If you claim it after the new season begins, the reward will have a maximum power of 650. If you acquire it once the new season has begun, the reward will have a maximum power of 700. And the cap is applied to bounties when you acquire it. They also mentioned completed bounties have no mechanism to dismantle, so keeping completed bounties could negatively affect players for the first week of a new season. Essentially, if you had, for instance, you had a bounty that you would normally be able to do every week, right? For instance, the Silent Fang, or the wanted Silent Fang, or whatever. Same example they're giving. If some of these bounties you can only collect and turn in once a week, so they're pointing out that if you keep that and forget to turn it in, or intentionally don't turn it in, it may prevent you from getting the new powerful bounty for that week when the season begins, and limit the rewards you can get. And you only end up with a 650 reward instead of a 700 reward. So bottom line, make sure you don't have any bounties that you have not turned in before the season ends on that week. Whenever that is, I guess it's going to be sometime in March. They haven't announced it.
Yeah, you think the first or second week.
Because it's not going to help you, and it could actually hurt you.
Yes. just get rid of them. Don't try to do the whole, at least when it comes to these bounties, don't try to do the whole prep for the next season to get a quick jump on your power grind. I get this, man, like there's still going to be some things you can do. There always is, but they've done stuff like this with engrams capping and now these bounties and stuff like that. Like, it's not like they're trying to limit your play. They're just like, okay, let's at least just wait till the patch and the season drop before we start banking on powerful plans, so
right,
it works.
They also mention we're looking to address stockpiles of raid keys. We're currently finalizing details, but we'll give additional information when available. So they don't have a definite answer on how they're going to address that right now, but they are going to do something.
I did see, I think DMG replied to somebody on Twitter because somebody had suggested, like, in one way or another, like, they would just take them away from you. And he responded and said, yeah, that's not really a viable option because people really would not be too thrilled if you just take their keys away from them.
Be super upset.
So I don't think
some that I forgot.
Yeah, I don't think that's in the options. They'll probably do something a little bit more friendly for the work that you put in.
It's kind of, I imagine it's got to be somewhat perplexing though, because that's the problem. You don't want to take the keys away and prevent people from being able to turn them in, but you also don't want people to be able to hoard them and just go to that chest room and open a bunch of chests and get powerful rewards that they didn't earn during that season. But how do you
there
work
was
that? There was it's in the raid.
Comment a couple below that had an interesting idea, like have them turn into cursed keys, and then I guess put a mechanic in there in some way, shape, or form where they, you can't.
They'd almost have to add something, or who knows? Like, it's hard to say.
Yeah, that's just the classic.
I like that terminology though, a cursed key versus
how do you balance? Not only balance all this stuff, but keep it in mind, or even have it on your radar at all. Because the Destiny community, as much as we love this game, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna exploit it in some fashion. Right. So
right. It's hard. They got to be working double time just to make sure stuff doesn't get exploited.
Yeah, and then they got to find that balance too, like taking the keys away where you can't. I mean, you don't, to a certain extent, you don't want to tell people how to play the game, but then also to a degree, it's like you don't really want people carrying bounties over and hoarding keys and hitting max power within like the first week with kind of cheesy ways, right?
Yeah, you don't want people to be able to game the system because it really takes away from the player experience, right?
Overall.
I mean, it's their choice to do it, but all the people that do that, for instance, for the raid race, let's say, or maybe they just want to get powered up very quickly, like it just hurts their experience because they're not having to grind for that. They end up overpowered really to where they should be for those raid activities. When they go in for the first one, they end up, shortcutting through a lot of the content to be more powerful. And so they lose the climb, which is part of the hunt and the chase in Destiny, is, chasing after the powerful gear and feeling like you earned something. You know how that feels. Like, hey, I'm working and I'm grinding and I finally hit max power. Like, it's satisfying. Yep. I grinded for several weeks to get there, Well, just shortcutting through that just takes away from their experience.
Right, yeah. And man, it really seems like too, I tweeted about this a couple times. When Forsaken launched, of course, we had a massive power increase, and it took a while longer to get there. But even into this season, dude, Season of the Forge, like I play Destiny quite a bit, several sessions a week for a few hours, and I just hit 650, I think 1 or 2 resets ago. And man, it's like, it feels good. Like, it's halfway through the season. I just hit max power. Now I can focus on other things. So, that used to be a big part of the topic too, was the power grind was too quick, or wow, you turn the dial too much. It takes way too long now. And we're actually in a pretty good sweet spot there. So like you're saying, you don't want these other things to break it either. Especially, I mean, it really comes down to that raid race too, right? That's always part of it. That's
a part of it. And that's a big motivation for why.
Which we're not getting one with this next season, but
that happens. Yeah. Yeah. There will be something, I think for PvE players, it's just not a raid. Yeah. We don't know what we're getting, to be honest, but
we'll see.
We'll find out. I'm sure they'll preview it soon. But moving along. So I think those are good changes there. They talk next about a final preview of some of the changes coming with the reset. They mentioned some things with Redrich's Broadsword quest with involving your Valor rank resets and looking back at previous seasons, so that should improve that. Fix an issue with enhancement cores from being rewarded when reaching Legend and Valor and Glory ranks, and then some changes to grenade launchers. Finally, over in Destiny player support, they have some resolved issues coming with the patch, notably the Like a Diamond Triumph, which is basically the Flawless Raider for Scourge of the Past was not unlocking for some people. The Always on Time Exotic Sparrow from the raid currently cannot be reclaimed from collections. Seems they're going to fix that. Modulus reports will be sent to the postmaster when your pursuits are full. And then some other things with the No Feelings kill tracker, some ghost projections, an emblem, and on and on. There will be patch notes. You can read them. They've got a deployment timeline for the patch starting at 8 a.m. Pacific on the 29th, concluding with 10 a.m. Pacific. Destiny 2 maintenance expected to conclude, and an hour later, companion features will be re-enabled on the web, mobile, and third-party apps. And then finally, they have some continued known issues with Season of the Forge, including guitar errors and Last Wish are still ongoing. Too much my chagrin. That issue with the Obsidian Accelerator saying use when it should say discard. And then something with a sword and a collections badge count. So that's Destiny player support. Finally, movies of the week. The top movie of the week, How to Titan. Gotta love it. Dude. This guy puts on Dune Marchers, and he's got which tree is it? I guess it's got to be it's the new striker tree, right?
Code of the Missile.
Forget the missile. Okay, that's what it is. Code of the Missile, and which when you use your melee, it's almost like the old school Death from Above, just less potent, but with Dune Marchers can be quite lethal. So this guy's playing control and the whole team is on their point A or what have you, and he goes and uses the ability, kills all the team except for one, and then Era's favorite part was finishing off that last guy.
It's like it would have been super cool if we would have killed them all, but it's almost excellent that he gets them all but one and then just polishes off the last guy. The last Guardian.
Jotun, however you want to call it. The jury's
out.
For a
tweet. You are.
Yep. We're trying to find a source on how we were told to pronounce it, but we can't find it. And then finally, a montage, Live Like Legends, a Destiny 2 montage featuring Last Rites. Got an honorable mention. Go check that out.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
And then finally, Cosmo mentions. Finally, the hand cannon shaped elephant in the room. We've got the Last Word quest, The Draw, available at reset. So I got to look forward to that, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Like, we're going to have so much to talk about next episode. There's a lot happening in this next reset tomorrow, Guardians. And this, we have gotten confirmation too. I don't know if we've said it on the show at all, but I think Cosmo at some point said something on Reddit, commented to somebody like this draw quest for the last word will not be like time gated. You can just, you can just grind it out.
You can complete it on your time.
There will be some Crucible aspects. It appears possibly, you'd think so, and I'm pretty certain.
I think it was data mined, and I think that it was confirmed that there is some Crucible.
And I actually, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know any of the quest stuff, fast forward a couple seconds. But I think it's like it was Thorn that was like this, right? Where you had to get kills, and if you died, you lost points. Yeah, and I think it's
the old school.
It's similar to that, at least, is what the data mined info looked like. So that might be a little painful, but
here comes the salt.
I mean, Crucible is a playground that I spend some time in, so hopefully it's not too painful. We'll see. Not too many kills.
We'll find out.
All right.
I don't spend a lot of time in Crucible anymore, so I'm like,
we'll see.
I don't mind. I think it'll be fine. I ain't scared.
Get your fusion rifle out. You like those fusions.
In other news this week, a couple notable things around the community. If you listen to Crucible Radio,
those guys,
one of our cousin podcasts in the Destiny universe, which you should, had some great guests on this week from Bungie, Lars Bakken and Robbie Stevens, which these guys both focus on the Gambit experience. Had a cool interview. Talk a little bit about why things are the way they are in Crucible and some of the design process along the way, as well as maybe some speculation talk. They definitely get some what ifs out of them. What would Gambit be like 5 years from now? And just totally like off the wall stuff. It was interesting to hear him talk about. And then some teases for what's coming in Season of the Drifter. They sounded pretty excited for what we might see, including a promise that we will get to dive more into the background of the Drifter, which I'm super excited about. So go give that a listen. Definitely always quality content from those boys, but it was a good interview.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Plus, yeah, give it a listen just because next season seems like it's going to be interesting, because we know they had the little node on the I guess what do we call it these days? The future, the
director?
The road. No, the little
roadmap.
Thank you. The roadmap. It's evolved a bit. Dude, just a few things like the Gambit experience evolving. That's like super interesting. The Drifter lore, like you mentioned, and then the one little node that we can't forget, the Zur bounties. That's supposed to be coming this next season too, isn't it?
Oh man, really? With Season of the Drifter?
I'm certain it was
oh my gosh,
the middle season, if you will, of the three.
That would blow my mind. I forgot all about it.
I hope I'm not wrong.
I hope that's still the case.
Hype myself and others. I'm pretty sure it was Season of the Drifter that was coming. So, anyways, yeah. So I'm super interested to see how Gambit can evolve, because it definitely, you want it to over time, add some more things to it and layers and stuff like that. And they kind of throw them off with some of those questions, like you said. So definitely worth a listen.
Yeah.
Get them on their toes.
And then last thing that's worth checking out, if you're familiar with Impact Props, which is a individual and company that does absolutely incredible work on props, but do a lot of Destiny work, and you may have seen a good bit of their work. They've made a Whisper of the Worm for Bungie. They've made all kinds of stuff. What am I looking for? The King's Fall raid weapon. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Touch of Malice.
Touch of Malice, yeah. And then they've done, if you remember back to the Destiny 2 reveal, there was a lot of pictures of weapons in cases that were a number of Destiny 2 weapons that we hadn't seen yet. They made all those, I believe. So they do just almost totally true to game, like most realistic you could imagine Destiny weapon props, okay? and they have in the past put up some items for sale, here and there, but they've got a gorgeous Last Word replica for sale on their store. Now, I'm going to warn you, this thing is quite pricey.
It's so
out of my
pretty,
reach.
though.
But it is flawless and certainly worth every penny. So go look at Impact Props on Twitter. You can check out their work if you're interested in purchasing or just want to ogle a little bit.
The Last Word and two weapons I would want: No Land Beyond and Last Word. But like realistically, the amount of space that No Land Beyond would take up, you'd probably go with
oh my gosh,
the whole wall. Yeah,
right?
You'd have to go with or possibly go with.
I've never seen an NLB.
I haven't either. Maybe I should.
I don't know if anybody's done
one of those. Throw it in the old game room. Yeah, first.
Yeah, I put up a tweet a couple weeks ago. I think it was, and just curious. I was wondering, like if you could have any one Destiny gun replica, what would it be? You got a lot of really interesting legendaries that I didn't expect, including stuff from Destiny 1. But I think for me, if I could have anything, it would be a Bad Juju.
Oh, that would be a pretty
That's what I want the most.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's just such a cool gun, and it, like, I don't know, something about that gun just resonates with me from Destiny 1. Weapon. Like,
yeah, and you were Warlock main back in the day.
It's unique because
you got the super back quick, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That loop. You put that on an Obsidian mine as a Nova Warlock, and that was the build, man. It was. You remember, like, there were certain builds in Destiny 1 where you could just do crazy stuff like that, and I feel like Bungie learned a lot about what people enjoy from those types of builds, because we see a lot more loops.
Oh yeah, now
things like that, and especially exotics in Destiny 2 that just make you feel crazy powerful.
Yep.
Anyways, but it's a cool gun because it's actually it's an exotic pulse rifle, but it's built on a scout rifle frame, and it's believed to be the case because originally it's believed that Bad Juju was meant to be a scout rifle, and they changed it in development at some point, but didn't change the gun model, probably because they already had made the art, so they just made what looks like a scout rifle a pulse rifle.
Plus it looks
kind of cool looking,
so much like a Warlock weapon too. It just does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's made by Warlock.
Like, it's Warlock written all over it.
Yeah,
it is a cool gun. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. Let us know if you could have any Destiny 1 or 2 weapon in a real, just true to life prop replica. What would it be?
Hang up in your game room.
I bet a lot of people would love that Last Word, man.
Yeah, Last Word for sure.
I know a lot of Last Word fans.
Oh, yes. Dude, everybody's so excited and anxious and nervous too, because we're like, we still don't know, like, is it gonna be just like Last Word? Some people are worried like it's just gonna shoot like a 180 does right now, and I'm like, I don't see how they could bring Last Word back and not give you the hip fire. I mean, it shoots faster than a 180 hand cannon, right? So everybody's worried like we haven't seen anything faster than a 180 yet. So are they just gonna make it shoot like a 180? But I just can't imagine. Like, it's gotta be Last Word, right?
It's risky, man. If they don't do it right, people are gonna be really disappointed.
And we saw so many different iterations of the Last Word too, with patches. Like there was a time when it was crazy, just like many other hand cannons. The range was just unreal. Then there was a time where you needed to hip fire to get that damage. And then there was a time somewhere in there where you ADS with that thing and shoot super slow, and you could do some crazy stuff.
I remember
with
that.
So yeah, who knows?
They changed it so many times.
Like, what Last Word are we gonna get? Which one?
I mean, my hope is, like, especially bringing back Destiny 1 exotics that it gives them an opportunity to rethink, like, what is the core of what makes this weapon cool, and how can we make it still feel powerful? How can we make it interesting? But you don't want to bring back an iconic gun like that and have it be underwhelming. Right. So I feel like they've got to be smarter than that, right?
Yeah.
They're going to test it. They've got to know
feel like
how it's going to perform. And they absolutely have to be tuned in enough to know how people are going to feel if it doesn't at least have, like, retain the spirit of what made that gun cool.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
If they mess it up, it's like it's their game to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's gonna
we'll
be
see.
cool. I can't wait. It's gonna.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be nice. For two reasons too. I mean, one, we know the exotic perk. It's like kind of a mesh together of, two of the perks it had in vanilla D1, but also I'm hoping it's like the old last word in the hip fire, fan fire speed, because we need something else to shut down them shotguns, right? And that the last word is like, what you use.
It couldn't be better because we need something to combat shotguns.
Give me that last word.
So if they can do it right.
Yes. Almost done.
The other thing, there's a lot of rumbling, especially with my group of friends, wondering, if there's something else that we might be getting with this patch. One thing worth noting, it's full curse week coming up here, and it's going to be, I believe, the 7th full curse. And so the question is, is that going to hold significance? Could we see something happen? Could it just be another week? That's one thing. It's definitely an opportunity for them to put something in the game that they wanted to hold back, right? To keep it from getting data mined. So, be on the lookout. We've definitely got the draw to look to, and that could be it. Don't get me wrong, but I just wouldn't be too surprised if there was something else as well.
People are already speculating. This is 100% speculation that, like, possibly in Season of the Drifter or something, we might see, another famous exotic hand cannon. Yes. We'll leave it at that. Who knows? Maybe we'll see it soon.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's all the news this week, man.
Not too shabby. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week, though. So much dropping tomorrow. So much stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Exciting. Well, Cyborg.
Yes.
How was your reset, buddy?
I really wanted to give it to you this
I know. I was letting it go and go and go.
I've been saying it a lot lately. And while I don't want to necessarily talk first, I feel like you need to get your share of saying how much
I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it.
Mine was good. I've been pretty busy, surprisingly, in Destiny, even though, like, I feel like I accomplished quite a bit in the past previous weeks. What my team and I have been focusing on a lot is a lot of us have accomplished a lot of the other titles and triumphs that we wanted. And so now our eyes are pretty squarely set on Riven's Bane.
Oh, nice.
And most of us are pretty darn close. Really, we've been kind of chipping away at it. And the main things we have to complete now as a group is Petra's Run and the Coliseum Challenge, which the Coliseum Challenge is a challenge for the Shuro Chi encounter. And I have to do a little more research to confirm, but I believe the trick with that one is there's a certain push attack that she performs, and no one can be hit by that attack once. Which is kind of tricky because it almost feels like that's totally random, but we're going to have to figure out how to get it done. But so what we did do this week was we set our sights on some very deliberate practice for Petra's run this week. We did a whole night where we, got our team together, confirmed who all is going to be there, and figured out, okay, what classes are people going to run. And we basically went through every encounter and talked it through, figured out our ideal strategies, builds, what builds that we wanted to use, what weapons we wanted to use, try different things out. Identified, okay, these are kind of critical fail points. How can we avoid this, or what can we do to strategize around this to prevent this from happening, this and that, and just went through some really deliberate practice. Basically, if somebody died, we wiped the encounter and started over. And one or two of them, we went through on a flawless, like the first or second. So we just went ahead and wiped and got a couple more runs in. And we actually found that, while the first time we might have gotten it great, on subsequent runs, sometimes they didn't go great. But it's good to have mistakes happen, because you can identify, okay, well, what happened here and why did that happen? Was it a fluke, or is it something like, okay, can we adjust or play with this strategy?
Yeah.
I think the thing we spent the most time on was Shirochi, because there's a lot of things that you can really optimize to make it run a lot smoother. And then there's the puzzle that could always be sometimes a little tricky. If you get a strategy for it, it should go smooth. But then you believe that, and then just crazy things happen that don't work the way you expect, and you gotta like totally do a Hail Mary, which we pulled off a couple of times and I felt great about. So practicing everything helped a lot. And I feel probably 10 times better about trying that now, that we just went through and did that. It was like several hours of practice. We realized, okay, because it started getting late, and this one encounter was actually giving us trouble that never gives us trouble. We're running the vault. The vault's like, should never fail a vault. So simple, but we were having trouble on it for some reason. We realized, like, people were just kind of getting lackadaisical because they were tired, and we realized, okay, well, we didn't think about this. We need to make sure when we actually try these runs that it's early, or that we do it in the day or something, because you get tired, and that's when you can make mistakes, or you can forget. Things like that happen. So just a lot came out of it, and I think it was great. Sometimes it got stressful, and so we got to figure out strategies. This is feels like higher level stuff, but strategies to help keep everybody calm and cool under pressure, when it's easy to get upset or aggravated when somebody does something stupid.
Oh yeah, dude, when you wipe a bunch too, that's takes me back all the way back to the Atheon days, man. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a classic thing in the raids too. Like, you almost beat it a couple times or something, and then you wipe once, and before you know it, you wiped like 20 times. And that's when all that starts to set in, like you said.
But it was like, it was work, but it was also interesting and enjoyable in practicing and kind of preparing for this tough event. Or triumph that we want to attempt. So we all felt pretty good after that. I think we're gonna try our first attempts this coming weekend. We'll give it some shots. We don't think we're gonna get it first time. I think everybody knows it might take a little grinding. And then there's the total, chance that we could end up with a guitar error.
Yeah.
And we're gonna work on some ways to minimize that now that we know somewhat what can cause it. So we got to look into that, and I'm going to go in by myself and try to practice jumping puzzles to make sure I don't kill myself. So there's things like that, that we've got to work around and practice, but I'm looking forward to it. I think I feel a lot more confident about being able to do it now. So I'll keep everybody updated with how it goes. I got to give a shout out. I saw one of our community members, Snatching Panda, a few weeks ago, he tweeted that they finally completed. I didn't even know he was working on it, but I think he said it took him 26 attempts.
Yeah,
and they finally got Petra's run. So impressive.
That's so cool, though, man.
It's not easy.
That's part of it, right? Is when just a normal run through, when you coordinate and do something with your fire team, much less something like this. Like, you guys are doing all kinds of prep and stuff like that. It's gonna feel fantastic when you pull it off. Oh
yeah, it'll feel great when it gets done. Yeah. So I've been running, every character through Last Wish, through Morgoth and Riven, because I still need the Sparrow and I still need 1 KV, and I just can't get it to drop, man. I'm somewhere between 20 and 30 clears in, and that stuff just won't drop for me. So I don't know. That's crazy, dude. I'm hoping I get lucky. I just keep hanging in there, but it's not happening.
Really like the Mythocast days, dude.
I'm going to be really disappointed if I get all these triumphs done and I still am waiting on RNG.
Yeah, for sure.
RNG for that.
Dude, I haven't, I really want to at some point. It's the classic, like, good old arrow. I really want to step into the raids at some point, but it's been that for me in the forges, man. Like, every week I do, which, I only have 1 character that's unlocked the Black Armory stuff, but I run it, usually 2 frames, and I cannot get Le Monarch or Jotun to drop for me, dude. Man. Like, they're not dropping. I see so many people with them, and then I got people tweeting me, "You guys are awesome. Love you guys so much that you've gotten 2 with a bow, and you just got the fusion to drop." And it's like, come on, man. Like, I think, dude, because I know you just had all those exotics drop. Like, I don't know, a week or 2 before these started dropping is when I had like my 4 or 5 exotic week. Like, I had 5 exotics drop in 1 reset, and now I've seen maybe one for sure, maybe 2 since then. That's been several weeks. So I'm like, please don't tell me I used up my RNG for months. I really want that bow, dude. Like, I want it bad.
I haven't had any new exotics for anything drop since, I guess it was 2 weeks ago when I got Jotun and Le Monarch and all that other stuff. I got all that great stuff like in like a 1 to 2 week span, and now like I need 1 exotic that I don't have on my Titan, and I just can't get it to drop. I just keep getting duplicates, and I feel like that duplicate protection is not working as intended, because literally, I mean, probably 5 to 10 exotics I've had to drop since that's been the only one I need, and it's just not dropping. I need the bear arms. I forget what they're called.
Ursa. Furiosa. Yeah, Ursa, I did get those. Yep, I did get those.
Yeah, and they just won't drop for me, man. So I've kind of stopped grinding challenges on that guy, and I've been swapping over and doing stuff on my Hunter and Warlock because I need a lot of those exotics because I've played them less, but I'm not getting anything on them either. So I'm like, man, I feel like like I used all my RNG up, it's like, it doesn't work that way, but
it just seems like
it does, know?
It just seems like it sometimes.
Like, you don't really know what's in the algorithm, but I don't know. When it rains, it pours, and when it's a drought, it's dry. You know?
And dude, I want that bow so bad. I'm about to whip out the bows back in the Crucible, man, because I did when Forsaken first dropped, and then I've kind of been goofing around with other stuff for a while, or hunting challenges or pinnacle weapons or stuff that. So,
did you get the exotic for the Hunter? The bow exotic?
I sure haven't.
No,
I don't have that yet either.
Man, I think if you got that in Le Monarch, like, you would have a blast.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic to me.
It would totally be your jam.
It sounds fantastic to me. The other thing about, Xur not selling the exotics, and, we've had that conversation before, but the other thing that stinks is, like, I got Ursa, and I used them, ultimately my decision, but I was still on my power grind, and I used them to infuse into the, the PvE gauntlets that I was using at the time to try to boost my power. And now, you know, when you repurchase them, you get the stock, you know, roll. And it's like, that's where it would be nice to be able to like get them some other way. You know, I love how you know, I guess awesome it is to get that drop and there's not, you know, exotics just raining down on you all the time. But it stinks when like now I kind of want a Ursa build and I want to experiment with that void build and I don't have, you know, like a decent roll on them. That's where that whole exotic or glass needle let us, you know, at least re-roll.
Oh yeah,
exotic armor. Somebody had mentioned that.
That was
to
a
me
lot
on
of
Twitter,
fun.
yeah.
But it seems like more their intention is, you know, without that, it at least makes the duplicate drops more valuable to you.
Yeah.
Because you're not able to re-roll them. So having the duplicates give you an opportunity to get a different roll. And that's great. But they hardly drop.
Yeah.
You know, you know, like they're really rare. So getting a different roll is so many layers of RNG. You know, it's, I don't know. I still think there needs to be a small boost in the drops, even if it was just a 10 to 15% or something to kind of pad it a little bit, you know, and some of it could be totally subjective. You know, there's the case that you may just not be doing enough challenges. Like I'm certain that I would get more drops if I did every single challenge, you know, on a character available. And I don't always do that. So there's different aspects. I complain, but I'm also not doing everything I can to get a drop. So
yeah,
there's different parts to it. And I think it's easier for them to know when they have the data to look at.
Right. But, yeah. Well, you know, and it's that classic conversation too. I've seen some feedback out there from, you know, pretty grindy players that just the armor perks overall are like, it's just hard to get an armor set build that's exactly what you want. And then on top of that, to master work it with the enhancement core economy right now. So then you throw...
No, it's a good point. Like, there is a lot of trash that I end up with armor. Like, there's a lot of armor pieces that are worthless to me, and I don't... It's tough to get the combos that you want.
Right, yeah. And then you throw exotics into that. And it's like, it does seem like it would be really cool to, you know, re-implement something like glass needles to re-roll your exotics. The other layer of it too is, man, and our buddy Cool Guy, he released a video this week, and I have heard this from some other people in the community as well. It's those enhancement perks, dude. Once you get an enhancement perk on a piece of armor, every other version of that perk other than enhancement makes... I mean, those are trash rolls, you know, if you have an enhanced version of it. So it's like we almost need more armor sets and more, you know, more armor pieces. And a good example he was talking about, actually, Cool Guy was talking about replayability for Iron Banner, is allow Iron Banner armor to roll the enhanced perks. Talk about getting you
I
Iron
definitely
Banner.
think...
Yeah,
I definitely think there needs to be enhanced perks on more armor sets, because there are armor sets that are just definitely inferior because you're not going to get those that come from seemingly in-game activities like the Dreaming City stuff. I think those drop enhanced, but then I'm pretty sure, man, I'm thinking about the armor set. I was discussing this with somebody. The raid
in Dreaming City is almost it, isn't it? Is there another source?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it. And so you've just got the raids and you've got Dreaming City that you can get the enhanced perks from. Well, what about all the in-game stuff like Black Armory? Yeah. Those are not easy armor pieces to get. Like, you really have to grind for those. Yeah. And there was a passing comment, I think, from Joe Blackburn a while back when he did an interview, I want to say on maybe DCP or somewhere, and he mentioned, well, we want, we want those hard to get items to be special. And that's great, but I think they need to have multiple sources, because just getting it is one thing, you got to work for it, but it's also a RNG what you get, right? So when there's not a lot of sources, it's tough to even get a useful perk set.
Yeah, you gotta, and obviously I'm sure they're thinking about it, especially this far in and from the feedback, but what it does to the rest of the armor options, right? And if you're a min-max dude,
if you want the enhanced stuff, everything else becomes garbage.
And if you're a min-max, like many players are that play the game, I mean, every other source of armor isn't worth the time, possibly, if you're trying to min-max. And once you get the one you want, everything else is trash, right? Like then you get into the conversation of the look of your Guardian and transmog and stuff like that. So if only 2 sets of armor,
then you got to be ugly.
If only 2 sets of armor allow you to get this, and you don't like the way those 2 sets of armor look. Now, we could get into what the actual benefit difference is between sniper, targeting and enhanced sniper targeting, but it's still a difference. They exist. They're 2 different, they're 2 different things. So, if you're,
I don't think it needs to be said that you're going to, even if it's a minute difference, like you want the best stuff, right? Yeah. That's not going to change.
So that is, this is a good conversation, because that is definitely something that would be worth them looking at. And again, I'm sure they are. They've gotten this feedback well before us talking about it right now. But man, it would be nice to incorporate some of this stuff to, it's the happy balance, right? Like, you don't want to seem like everything's handed to you, but there is a point where, you got to mix it up a bit, give us more options, when you can. And we don't want to re-roll. The forges are as close as we got into that. But I really do think exotic armor, man, like, you're not really going to hurt much if you give us a way to get some glass needles or something that lets us re-roll our exotics, because exotics are a huge part of your build, right? And to have to wait for a duplicate to drop. Zur is the only other way to get them, and he doesn't sell them, so he isn't a way to get them now. He used to be a way to get them back in the old days.
Right.
So,
yeah, he would offer different, if like now on the year 1 stuff, when he sells something, he sells different perk rolls on them, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be great if he was selling the year 2 exotics and we could buy different perk rolls, but he's not.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, I've seen content creators, another layer of this, we kind of hinted at earlier, is masterworking your armor. I don't have one piece of masterwork armor. I've seen, some content creators tweeting out, with, we won't get into that whole enhancement core conversation and stuff like that, but everything plays into it, right? The perks, the economy, the enhancement core, stuff like that. And
I have 1 set.
I don't have any, dude.
On my Titan Masterworked, and that was very specific stuff and it was basically what I was running for Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just 1 set, and I had to, really be choosy and.
Yep. And I mean, there is a benefit
to
masterworking it. Yeah, you get the damage reduction in your super,
you get those
right?
damage reductions.
And I say content creators, the reason I say that, of course, we want, you guys' feedback on this, as always. Any way you want to shoot it at us, we'll let you know how to do that in the DurFam discourse. But I say content creators, dude, because I'm meaning people that like maybe stream the game, play it full time, stuff like that, play it pretty often, creating content, and they still don't have any armor masterworked,
Yeah, and I think some of it is a choice, but it's that analysis by paralysis kind of thing where, like, you might have a bunch of cores, but you choose not to spend them all on, say, masterworking a set of armor, because you don't know where your next one's going to come from. Yeah. And so it's kind of like that scarcity. This is this is kind of like a bigger picture thing, but scarcity creates paralysis in economies. And so it kind of goes down the same thing in like game and player economies. Like hoarding is what happens, you know, and when you, same thing in a real world economy, when people hoard things, they feel like they have less, and it hurts the economy, you know, say in a real world economy, because there's not exchange of goods and services that would happen in an economy that's aggressive, right? So like when you have a recession, sometimes people have money, they don't spend it as much because they don't know where the money is going to come from next. They're insecure. They feel, you know, like they have to be conservative. And so that's why when there's a recession, like things shrink more than they really should. It's the same thing in a player economy. When you don't know how you're going to get a thing and there's not a regular source to get it, you're going to spend less. Even if you've got 100, if you don't know where the next 2 are going to come from,
drop
like,
them all
what if I need these to infuse something for the next season?
Yeah,
you know?
and you're not going to drop that. That's where all the layers. You're not going to drop all those cores or a lot of them into a set that, one, you may not like the way it looks, or two, all the pieces don't have enhanced perks. You know, so there's definitely all kinds of stuff.
It's not
playing.
absolutely
it's
perfect.
not the most optimal set you could have.
And they're not cheap either. Like masterworking a full set of armor.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact math, but it's a bunch. Yeah. You know, like I did it on some stuff. I was kind of lucky because some of the masterwork stuff was like already at level 3 or 2, so it wasn't, you know, quite as expensive. Maybe I saved a couple cores here and there on some of the first nodes, you know, and I just kind of did it over time. But I was like, well, I'm doing this so often, like I could really benefit from having this be just totally maxed out. But anyways, I forget how we even.
I don't even know. We got on an excellent topic.
The enhancement cores. I think the economy, like, it's improved. It's way better than it was just at the start.
Yep.
Because they added things like, you know, the bounties that you can get them from, and I even it may be just my feelings on it, but it seems like I get them more just randomly.
Yeah.
You know, like dismantling stuff than I used to.
Yeah, you definitely get them. The other thing too is if you just make that trip, you know, I know this isn't the most optimal thing and probably not what people want. Yeah, if you make that daily trip to the spider and at least buy 2 of them for 30 legendary shards, you're usually doing okay.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like if you're short on legendary shards, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I know I'm what I call destiny rich because I hoard stuff and I don't spend a lot of materials. I mean, I have 4,400 legendary
I do
shards.
not.
If I just had no cores, I could buy as many as I want. You know, like I could get them.
Well, I mean,
and most people probably have way more legendary shards than they need, and they just, you know, they don't want to spend their stuff.
I'll tell you where you burn through your enhancement cores too is if you infuse, you know, I do this once I get to a certain point. I just hit 650, you know, like I said a couple resets ago. I'll infuse once I get like 20 to 30 power into the new cap. I'll start infusing some of my gear because I don't want to look ugly.
You want something decent, right? You want like, okay, I need this armor and I don't want to wear this trash armor anymore.
And that's when you will melt through those enhancement cores. If you just wear that ugly gear, power through it and not let it bother you, you'll save those enhancement cores. Now, where you'll also burn through it is those legendary shards, dude. That's the other thing I was going to say because I just now got back up to like 250 legendary shards because you will burn through them. Now,
you're shard.
I am. Yeah, I only have a couple hundred. Now, when it comes to vendors, dude, I have like 700 at the Vanguard. I have over 3,000 at the Crucible and the Gunsmith, you know?
Yeah, so you have materials in a different form. Like you could turn those into shards.
Yep.
And you could get cores from those vendors.
Exactly.
You know? So that's the thing is like how much of it is you've got the material, it's just
you want to turn this
not
stuff
cashed
in.
out, right?
Exactly. So it's like this whole
It's
conversation,
tricky.
and now they're like, wait. It's like when
When you've got that many
Joe is talking about it. He's like,
resources,
wait,
though,
you got
like-
3,000? Go turn those in. What are you doing? And we were talking about mods at that
Yeah.
point. But yeah, for sure. I mean, think
Yeah.
about how many shards
Yeah.
that is there.
And you could buy shards. The great thing, I love what they did with the spider and giving it like a decent material exchange.
Yeah.
Like it's random, so you got to go on the right day, but you know, you can go to the spider and you can, I actually, this is the craziest thing. I don't even know how it happened, but I almost ran out of glimmer recently.
That
I
happened
never
a time
ran
or
out of
two.
glimmer, but I think I was spending a lot on something and I just didn't play as much one week, which is where you're going to get the most glimmer, right? Just playing the game, killing lots and lots of stuff. And I got down to maybe like 15,000 glimmer. I was like, I've never ran out of this much glimmer. And so I actually had to go buy some, but it was nice because I had plenty of other materials. And so I just turned some other stuff that I had into glimmer, and you can do the same with legendary shards. You can get planetary materials. You know, I like what they did there with the economy.
Dude, yep. I go there and I buy a couple enhancement cores, and then whatever planetary material he's selling for one shard, I'll buy like 5 to 10 of while I'm there. And that's usually my trip to Spider every time I log in. So, yep. Yeah.
Yeah, if you just remember to do that every day and turn that, you know, it'll cost you 30 shards and you can go get 2 enhancement cores. Then you'll have some when you really need it, you know.
For sure.
But not for Sega, but when Season of the Forge started, I did kind of what you're talking about. Like until I get up to 650, I just wore whatever it dropped. And then once I had 650, then I infused
so much, dude, by doing it
the stuff that I already had that I had masterworked or newer stuff that was better, and I did save a lot.
Because I mean, you're
I
spending
did save a lot.
5,000 to 9,000 glimmer, 25 shards at least, I think, and 2 to 3 enhancement cores every time you infuse a piece of gear.
Yeah, and I think I do think the economy's fine on infusion as far as glimmer and legendary shards, because you need a sync for those. Like they need to be used.
And I like that, you know, there's
in a useful way.
Bit of a decision there, you know, they've added with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to spend.
I do
something
worry, you
on
know,
it,
like
and-
not everybody, but a lot of people are saying they want enhancement cores out of the infusion. I just worry that it won't feel like the decision that it feels like. I don't know if that's the answer. Like I understand why people don't want enhancement cores in there. For example, what I said originally in almost the beginning of this conversation is I don't have any masterworked armor. So I think there's definitely something that needs to be tweaked there. I don't want it to not be at least some kind of decision, right? Again, just a crazy delicate balance there of figuring it out. Right now, I would say something's definitely a little off. It's definitely a massive improvement than what we've had over the several years. But to not have any masterworked armor ever in the last 2 seasons, and then the perk situation we talked about, I think of course all plays a part in that. But anyways, man, I don't know how we got off on all that. I think I threw in there somewhere a little bit that I've done this reset. I'm still grinding out for 1 or 2 or both of those Forge exotics, and I've played a little PvP, jumped in some Rumble and some comp, not too much, played solo. Rumble was feeling unbelievably amazing the other night, dude. You ever you're not Crucible in it much lately, but some nights you hop on, dude, and you were just like in the zone. And I went super sweaty loadout, dude. Like hopefully nobody is yelling at me in their car when I say this, but I put on One-Eyed Mask, Dust Rock Blues, and Luna's Howl, dude. And I mean, I just was like, we're doing this thing. Like I run into this enough, like let's do it. Went into Rumble and was just doing work for a few games, dude. Like I wasn't on very long. It was just a handful of games, but it just felt great. And at some point I'm gonna dive back into the Crucible like full blown, but I haven't yet. I don't know why. I'm really starting to miss Trials, like really starting to miss it.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah, dude. Like
man.
I think I said that last week. Like I just hit that point in the last few resets. Like I'm really starting to miss Trials, and it was just something we did every weekend. It was so fun. Hopefully we'll see it soon, but.
You know, it came up. Just one brief mention of Trials in that interview on Crucible Radio, and it wasn't even like specifically about what the future of that activity is or anything, but they mentioned like they felt the best about Trials when they focused on making sure the mode was the most fun, as opposed to the most competitive or the most sweaty, and it really like reinforces something that you and I have had a kind of a assumption on and an idea behind what their drive is with the game right now is like just making it the most fun. And that kind of spoke to that a little bit, and maybe that gives a little idea into what they could be doing with the future of that mode.
Dude,
you know?
And it's funny too, I was listening to the Fire Team chat guys talk about it this week, our buddy CJ, and him and Steven were going back and forth. Actually, I think another buddy of ours, Fallout, was on their last episode. Right. Yeah, they were going back and forth talking about all the old fun stuff in Trials was like the res sniping and the one headshot at a super sniping and the there was something else they mentioned too. And the thing about it is they were recalling all those things like pleasantly, but back when we were in all that, it was like we couldn't, like it drove us nuts, res sniping and stuff like that. But it's what you just said, dude. Like if you were a Trials player, those things that even you thought annoyed you, like they made it fun. Like the self-resing Warlock, they even mentioned. Obviously that there's probably a slim chance we're getting that back, but like all those things, even though they were annoying many times, like it was fun. It was unpredictable. It was fun. You felt powerful, and I don't know, man. It's that balance again, like of broken versus fun, right? Power fantasy versus balance. And wow, I mean, it's even more difficult to try to hit that in the Crucible, right? So yeah. I don't know. I hope we just see Trials back one day, whatever iteration it is, whatever version. It'd be amazing if it was next season.
Yeah.
But
the more I think about it, man, like I just have this feeling that it's further away than we think.
I know you said that. You like bursted my bubble when we were talking about it a couple months ago, and I'm like, dude, you are probably right, man. It's gonna be next fall.
I could totally be wrong. I just have this feeling.
Well, it doesn't really align with the seasons that are coming up either, right? Like we'd be hearing about it here real soon if it was going to be in Season of the Drifter, and Season of the Drifter is all about Gambit. And then the next season seems as though it's going to be about secrets and raid stuff, and maybe, we don't know for sure. So it doesn't really align with any of that. So like, are they going to wait and make it align a bit more with the theme of a season that's going to come in the future? There's so many question marks, dude. We don't even know how content's going to come out to us after the summer, right? So
yeah, we're going to talk about that in a discourse question here in a minute.
Who knows, man?
I think absolutely, I think the Crucible team is hard at work. But I think that after some of the missteps with what they launched with Forsaken, you know, the new mode with the new maps, and none of that went well. I think that they have had to take a step back between that and Trials and some of the divisive choices and problems going on with comp. The Crucible is just not, it's not even just the sandbox, it's just the totality of the content offered. It needs a lot of TLC, and I just wonder if they've taken a big step back and are looking at a bigger picture of, okay, total package, how do we want to treat all this, and what are people liking? What are people not liking? What can we do to inject fun back into this community in this game? And that could take a bigger pivot and more time than we may like.
Well, plus, yeah, dude. Yeah, I think you're right. There's layers to it too, right? Like with the way D2 launched, speaking specifically of the Crucible. And then also that also affected the PvE game, right? How powerful you felt in PvE.
Right.
So it almost seems like you said, of course the Crucible team and the Sandbox team's hard at work. But it seems like it's getting layered out to us now, right? Since Forsaken launched, we definitely feel that power fantasy more, right? And we're just feeling it more and more and more with these exotics that are coming out and these super tunes and stuff like that. So, it naturally, it seems like, we don't know, these are speculations of ours, but you do that first, inject that back into the game, and then you figure out what you need to do on the Crucible side of the thing, right? So
yeah. That seems to be what they're doing.
For sure.
So we'll see. I really want Crucible to shine again, and I want Trials to come back. I really do. Like I would enjoy jump. Like I don't think I'm cut out for the comp game, but I enjoyed Trials in Destiny 1 and even some in Destiny 2. Like I enjoyed jumping in there every now and then and giving it a shot, and I'd love for that mode to come back because it is fun,
dude. Yeah.
But they've got a lot to work out there, and how to keep it and make it fun, how to make it unique. How do you handle that when you've got comp, on the other side of it? There's a lot to figure out, and so I think that can take time. Hopefully, they can kind of round some things out in the Crucible in the state that it's in. Maybe they're figuring out that, the mode that they launched with Forsaken and how to make that work. And we'll come back. I want Crucible and Trials to come back strong.
Yeah.
I want it to be a big deal, and that could be part of a bigger content launch and something for people to be excited about.
Well, I'll tell you though too, man, like all this talk about the Crucible, like the Crucible, I mean, coming from a PvP guy, like, it's fun right now. I know there's a lot of critique about it and different things like that. Shotguns are, all over the place. That's one conversation. The other conversation, a lot of things are getting tweaked tomorrow, man. Like Nova Warp is one of the things. Heavy is the timer's getting increased on that. That's a big deal. But overall, dude, like I have fun in the Crucible. It's a bit chaotic and quick play, but that's what quick play is all about, right? But I think, like you said, it's not about the sandbox. Actually, is pretty fun right now. It's a little more chaotic, like I've said before. I mean, definitely than what we had with the crazy accomplishment of the balance we had in base D2. But again, that wasn't a power fantasy, right? We didn't feel powerful. So right now, we definitely feel powerful. It's fun. There's a lot of different Guardians running around with a lot of different things, but I think it's like you're saying, it's the infrastructure of the Crucible.
It's the content,
right? Yeah, it's
and how it all works together. Exactly. I think that it's that bigger picture that it's almost like they've had to pull pieces away. They did. I mean, they've pulled things out that just weren't working and said we just have to start over with this. And they've kind of pulled that out. They pulled their new mode out. There's fewer offerings in the Crucible and D2 than there were in D1 as far as modes. And so, there's just like that bigger picture of what it's all comprised of. And I think if they can figure out what the big picture looks like, then it'll turn into a more fun Crucible and things with more variety and, what we know and love about Destiny. So I'm optimistic about it. I just know that like I try to be as much of a realist as I can about how long things take.
Yep. Maybe the bigger picture of the infrastructure of the Crucible is a fall kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anyways, man, wow, we're having some excellent conversations this week. I did want to just throw in real quick in reset before we move on to discourse. Playing a ton of Spider-Man, dude. I don't know. I'm still playing Destiny.
What do you love about that game,
dude,
man?
it's fun, man.
Everybody's talking so much about how much they like Spider-Man, but I haven't quite like landed on why people like it.
Here's the thing. It's just fun. I don't know what it is about it, dude. And I love Spider-Man.
It's just fun being Spider-Man.
Yeah, like Spider-Man isn't even like if I wanted to be like, we're watching Flash right now. Flash sounds like super amazing. If I could have like a Arkham, this Insomniac Spider-Man Flash version of this, it would be super fun. But like, of course, I've mentioned Batman's, one of my favorites. But Spider-Man, like, he's up there, but like not, but after playing this game, I'm even becoming more of a Spider-Man fan. When I say it's fun, it's just fun to be Spider-Man, even if he's not your favorite superhero in this game. What they've done, dude, with like swinging through the city and all of a sudden a crime will pop up to you're going to a quest. You get around the city so fast. You can fast travel, but you don't even really want to. You'll like going from point A to point B, you'll mark a couple other spots on the map of these collectibles and you just swing around, flip around, do this, do crazy combo. Even when you're not fighting people, land here on this perch, do this thing, grab this collectible, jump off, go do this, go do that. Okay, here's a crime that's happening right in the middle of the street. Chase down a car, jump on it. Like, if that hopefully kind of explains it a little bit. It's nonstop.
Yeah. It sounds like it's
super fun
sandbox.
Yeah, dude. It's just fun. It is fun. I can't explain it any other way. I know that's simple. Even if you're not a big,
is the combat?
Yeah, dude. The combat's also excellent. Even if you're not a big Spider-Man fan, like you. Just swinging around, like I said, for example, all of a sudden police radio will come up and it'll say, we've got either it could be anything from a wreck where you need to pull doors off of cars with your web to save people in a burning car, to an armored car being hijacked, to a bomb in the street, so you're swinging around, you get that call and you're like, okay, do I want to continue to my quest or do I just want to drop over here real quick? Because of course the city is sectioned off and you have different objectives in each little section, and one of those objectives is to fight crime 5 times or something. And even if you didn't have that, it's still fun. So you'll swing, make a quick right, all Spider-Man-like, dude, doing tricks. You can do flips, jump off the wall, run off the wall, and then you'll web down and just take out the first guy. And before you know it, dude, you're doing combos of like just normal like martial arts type stuff to incorporating your gadgets, to jumping in the air and just kicking them through the air, when you're having like a rooftop fight, dude, you can like do crazy combos and then jump off of the building, swing around it, flip back up from the other side and continue. Like, it's That's super cool. Fun, dude. And then before you know it, you got dudes shooting rockets at you and you dodge that in slow motion. And when you dodge, of course, you have spec trees. There's 3 different spec trees that you can unlock stuff. When you dodge, you fire a web, of course, and you like disorient them. So you're dodging a rocket, you disorient them, you fling towards them with your web, fight them. I don't know, dude. Like I did like a little 30-second snippet of like some super mild version of the combos you can do in this game, because I'm not even doing what you're capable of yet. And it's like I dodge a rocket, I fling to this guy, I do a couple little bounce off the wall combo, and then I do an animated combo. Like when you build your focus bar, you can do an animated combo, and it like goes into this super cinematic, like crazy looking cool, just take them down type of stuff, dude. And then my quick little clip ends with Spider-Man like hitting the ground and just looking up at the camera. And it's like, that's what the whole game feels like, dude. And I really think I'm probably like 60% into the story, but I'm 54% completion on the game right now, and I have cleared out probably, because it's fun, I've cleared out probably 60 to 70% of the things on the map. And that's not even just because I'm a completionist with that kind of stuff. It's just fun, man. Like I know I've said fun 100 times, but I'm doing all those things as I'm going to my next quest objective. And I think I might 100% this game. I won't say for sure, but I think I might.
Sounds
dude.
like you're not far off. It won't take
fun,
much.
dude. And again, when you combine everything, I'm only 54% complete on all of that stuff. But it's fun, dude. Like, I don't know. It is, I'm trying to think of another word other than fun, because I can't think of a better way to describe it. Even not being, and I am more so now and always have been to a certain, degree, but Spider-Man, like, I'm becoming even more of a fan playing this game. You unlock suits. I just unlocked this really cool black suit with the red,
the noir suit.
Dude. And I don't, again, I don't know some of the Spider-Man stuff, so a lot of you probably know what suit I'm talking about. But
I've watched, like, I've seen a lot on when it first came out over the first couple months of social media and people sharing different suits and stuff. So I know, like, there's a lot of different really cool ones, and they even put one in from like the Sam Raimi films.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's
really cool.
the cyberpunk one and all kinds of stuff there too. And it's man, like, I don't want to say that there's nothing groundbreaking in the game. I think it's groundbreaking in what they've done with the experience. It's you just enjoy it, dude. Like, you just enjoy every second you're playing the game. And it balances excellent with Destiny, right? So I can go in, do some of my stuff on Destiny. I have kind of used this past reset, as like, I've played Destiny actually for the first time in weeks, less than I played another game, Spider-Man in this instance, because I know it's not full curse week, Shattered Throne's not up,
right.
I've got things I want to do in Destiny for sure, but I've got time to do them, and I know Last Word's coming up here in a day, so it's like, all right, I'm gonna put some time into Spider-Man. So,
well, and somebody brought up, like, a great point on Twitter, is like, Destiny sees natural lulls and swings, that you can kind of expect and predict when there's a little more downtime, right? In what's going on, like what there is to offer. And this is kind of the time, a month or so before another content release, like, a lot of the new stuff has been experienced. So, like, this is a good time for players to pick up another game and work that in, and a lot of people are doing that.
They do throw us off with dropping the Last Word and stuff, but this particular reset is probably the first since Forsaken dropped that I actually sit down on my PlayStation and I'm like, I think I'm going to put in Spider-Man. And it has nothing to do with that I don't want to play Destiny. It's just, like you said, this is probably one of the, for me, and the way that I play the game and the way that I progress through the content, I still have probably 20 plus things on my to-do list, but I'm like, okay, this week doesn't seem too crazy, and I have time before the season's over. Let's play Spider-Man a little bit. And that's okay, right? Like, that's,
work it in there while you got time, man.
Yeah, like, there's so many good games out there,
Definitely.
dude. Like, you got to try to squeeze them in alongside our favorite game. I did also, totally random, I have been watching some stuff on The Division. I reinstalled The Division because Division 2 comes out in March. I thought way back in the day, dude, because I love my third-person semi-modern shooters, that I would balance Destiny and The Division and play nothing else. Well, The Division, of course, I haven't played it in a while, but apparently it's over the years, similar maybe to some of the different things Destiny's been through, is in an amazing place right now. And apparently, hardcore Division players are really excited about Division 2 because it seems as though they're incorporating a lot of stuff that they've learned, if not releasing the game in a pretty similar state, the sequel in March. So I still am drawn to the Division, dude, but I just don't know how. Because Anthem, real quick before we move on, Anthem looks super fun, and I hope it's an awesome game, but it looks, in watching it, it looks so similar to Warframe to me in movement and graphical design.
Oh, that was the biggest thing. I saw a ton of, like, GIFs and stuff this week, and I just keep thinking like it looks so much like
Yeah, dude, and I
Warframe.
didn't really think that until the last couple weeks. Even though I've seen footage on it, all the stuff that's been releasing, because, the YouTube creators and stuff, they went to that event here recently. Like, it does, and I'm not saying it's a Warframe this, or I'm not making any kind of comparison like that. I'm just saying for me personally, when I look at it, I see Warframe more than anything else, and that's not a bad thing. People love their Warframe. I just haven't played Warframe much, right? So I could very well like both of those games. I could very well end up playing both of those games at any point. But if I had to make the decision right now, I would probably pick the Division 2 over Anthem, because I've played the Division and it's kind of a little bit more up my alley. Plus, Destiny's kind of a sci-fi shooter. They're not the same either. I've heard Anthem has way more like Diablo type of difficulty, and it's no PvP or anything like that. So just a straight step back, the way I play perspective, I would probably lean more towards the Division 2 right now. But dude, I don't know how, with the time we play, like the play sessions and the amount of time we play, to invest, to play 2 investment games like the Division or Anthem and Destiny, I don't even know, dude. Like Spider-Man and Destiny are working out great. I don't know how, and then to stay on top of builds and loadouts and roles and mechanics and all that stuff, dude, to do that in 2 different games, I don't know. With the amount of time, I say the amount of time we play, dude, I'm talking 3 or 4 play sessions a week for 2 to 4 hours. We're not playing all day, man. To try to balance 2 games like that, I just don't even know. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want to try the Division 2 just because it looks cool. It's coming out though,
the week
right around when Season of the Drifter drops. But I want to pick it up and try it, and hope that maybe it's a game, even though it's an investment game, maybe it's a game that I can play once or twice a week just casually. And even if I'm not getting the most out of it, it seems like it could be a fun game to play. And so I want to at least try to get into it. And it might be one of those games where, it's a side game that I kind of just play, every few months I'll jump back in and catch up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
If you don't stay out of it too long, you don't get too lost. We don't know
what the content release. Yeah, we don't know what the releases are going to be like and all that. But I at least want to give it a try. But I've also, Metro 2033, Metro Exodus is finally coming out, and I'm mega excited about it. And a lot of people that have gotten an early look at it have said really, really good things about it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here. Spider-Man, I'm going to keep playing it till I'm done. I'm not going to move to anything else. I'm going to try not to. And then, I've got God of War sitting here, Tomb Raider. What's Red Dead we talked about last week, man. It's there's
man, I still got to finish Red Dead. I'm still steady at it.
So many good games. So many good games.
All I've done lately is go around and hunt legendary animals and fish for legendary fish. Dude. I'm going through and doing all those because I really enjoy that aspect of the game.
Just kind of immerse yourself in the world. Yeah, that sounds fun. Sounds super fun.
Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. That's our reset, I guess. We went on some crazy topics there.
Probably need to wrap it up here. So we've got some Derp Fam discourse this week. Ew. We've got an email. You want to read this email?
Yes, I'd love to. Rich, a.k.a. Mr. Monkey, subject of Destiny post-Activision, says, "Hi, great podcast." Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Regarding Destiny post-Activision split, do you think we will see something post-season of the Redacted to mark the split, i.e. almost a D 2.5? My hopes for the future is that it continues towards the hobbyist element with the clear roadmap infographics showing what is coming. I can't see at the minute how it can be subscription-based, with this not being something that is common on consoles, plus we are on different levels of the game, vanilla, expansion, annual pass. Maybe this could change in D3? Thanks, guys. Rich, Mr. Monkey on PS4. That's some good stuff. I think maybe Rich mentioned the subscription based, because we kind of threw that question out last week if people would be willing to pay a monthly subscription to play Destiny. But anyways, what do you think, Cyborg?
Yeah. That's the $1 million question right now, right? Like, what do we see after this season? It could be really important for Bungie to get out something in the fall to get, first to kind of kick off their self-publishing deal. But second, they may really need to generate some revenue since they are self-funding now. And it's hard to know. I mean, you wouldn't think that they're going to try to rush out a Destiny 3. Right. So could we see, a big expansion, maybe the Rise of Iron size, could be likely. It's totally viable that they could just back off for a little while. It wouldn't be the best thing for the game, but it's possible. So I don't know, man.
So
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's all we can do is speculate.
Yeah. I don't know how they don't release something in the fall, right? I mean, for the game, I don't think D3 doesn't seem feasible. Just with the timeline as is, and then with everything else that's going on or has happened, I don't know that D3 seems feasible. But, I always have mentioned, and we've talked about, I really want to see the structure of release change. I want to see it turn into more of a live game, and not boxed sequels that are released every other year, if you will. But again, another question mark. Who knows if we'll see a transition to that? I think surely we'll get something in the fall. I think you're right. Rise of Iron, I've heard kind of something like that thrown around, rumblings in the community. Something like that, dude, where they fine-tune the systems even more. They bring some nostalgia in there. I mean, like when we got the exotic legendaries back in, was that Rise of Iron? We got that? Where we got the exotic Fatebringer, and do you remember that?
No.
Don't you remember that? Didn't they bring, I thought it was a Fatebringer that they made exotic, because I never got it. Was it exotic, or was it just like a tuned up version of it? Don't you remember that? Was that Rise of Iron? Anyways,
it was. I mean, they brought back like vault stuff. And everything. It was the summer, or I think after Rise of Iron.
Yeah. So
that happened.
If they did something like that to tide us over, I think it would be pretty painful, dude, if there wasn't a game plan for fall and beyond. I mean, for the game just to break, and wait a year to relaunch again, if you will, in this new version of Bungie with, post Activision. I just, there's so much competition out there right now, but at the same time, we don't want anything rushed. I don't know, dude. I see something in the fall. You don't want it to whiff either, right? You don't want it to be something of no substance. But I think ultimately, though, us as fans and our listeners, like, we're going to stick around even if we do have to wait. I think what's the most important is the Bungie team, right? They are honed in on what the Destiny experience is, and that's because they've been listening to us and taking our feedback, and they also have been innovating on that. And I think we've said this before, like, we all kind of know now what we want Destiny to be, and that experience to be. And I think that's where we can maybe, whatever happens, we can kind of settle in on that and feel okay, because the future, whenever the content drops, we can be pretty positive and pretty confident about the future of the game, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. I just can't imagine a fall, a contentless fall here coming up. That just doesn't seem like it would be very good. So
it would be strange indeed.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Well, thanks for that question, Rich. If you've got a question for us or a comment on something that we've discussed, maybe some feedback or a shout out to somebody in the community that's done something positive, send us a piece of discourse. You can email us, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a speakpipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset.
I know it's, I just saw the future, Cyborg. Trials is going to drop in the fall, and then Destiny 3 will be a year after that, and I'd be okay with that. That'd be fine. Just give me Trials.
You'd be
I don't
set,
think
right?
a lot of Guardians would be. But,
oh, man.
JK.
Somebody be set.
JK.
Now it's the time in the show where we normally give out a shout out to patrons. I don't think we have any new that we can announce this week because I think we need some gamer tags.
We do. Yeah, we got so many generous Guardians last week. A handful of you that just boom, boom, boom. We got some emails, but we got some messages out. Yes, we need those gamer tags, Guardians.
Yeah, so if you have become a patron, check your Patreon messages so we can get your gamer tag and give you a shout out. If you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/destinyreset, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. In return, you get a few things. You get a shout out on the podcast, you get your gamer tag on our website, and finally, you get an invitation to our Discord channel just for patrons and supporters.
There you go.
Thank you. If you continue to support us, there's a lot of you who month after month support us through Patreon and even sometimes just send us a cup of coffee through PayPal, and that's, absolutely appreciated. So
very much so.
Thank you again for continuing to support us. All right. Well, I think that's about it this week, man. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to chat with you or see what else you have to say?
You guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0 and all the other places as well that you may be on. What about you, buddy?
Super. You can find me on Twitter, CyborgSasquatch, or on Mixer. Same thing. Finally, you can find us on Twitter together at Destiny Reset, or on the web at www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, links to everything we've talked about, including a way to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice. By the way, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, we have to thank you for your reviews. We've got at least one new iTunes review this week, right?
Yes, we do. JJ Dizzle, 778. Thank you so much, dude. We are like over 250 at this point. Guardians are so generous with the iTunes reviews.
That's awesome.
We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and have not left us a review yet, please go do so. It helps us get seen and heard by more Guardians just like you who want to hear us blabber on about Destiny. That's what we're here for, right?
For some reason.
Keep you busy during your workday or whatever, your drive, or maybe even while you're playing the game.
Yes, very possible.
Yeah.
We thank you guys very much for downloading the show just as much as anything else. It means a lot.
Yep. All right, man. Fun show.
Yeah, dude.
Looking forward to next week.
Somehow we can still talk for an hour and 45 minutes with random topics. Who knows how long next week's gonna go? I'm gonna try and work on a few strikes here and finish up good old loaded question. And I don't know, dude. I should go to bed, but Spider-Man is a calling.
He's calling your name.
You know.
I know that feeling.
All right, guys. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.